Welcome back to Day at the Dude Ranch. Make some templates, huh? All right, and this is where it started, from a hand sketch from the customer and going back and forth, and on Photoshop, this is what we got. So this is our target. So the end product's going to look pretty similar to this. And we go back to Photoshop and we crop everything down to like this. And then in Photoshop, we do what I call the aha mode. So it makes it look just like a drawing. And then we take it over to Publisher. And in Publisher, I've got this grid back, and it's a 1/2 inch square. So we're going to make sure that it's actual size and everything is all to scale. So from here, we're going to, in Publisher, set it to print. And this is how I make my templates, folks. This is not, right now I don't have all this CAD stuff and CNC running. This is how we make guitars from a good old-fashioned template mode. And this is how I make a template. So here we are. Now it's going to print it on 4 sheets of 8.5 by 11 letter page. And go to the MDF and make sure we get ourselves a nice center line established. And then take the puzzle pieces, lay them out. And from here, I'm just going to make sure that everything it starts looking like a guitar again. And get myself a couple secondary lines. Now I could do that on this board because I know that's a nice square edge. Otherwise, I'd be measuring from the center line. So we're going to get the pieces all put together. I want you to actually see this, so I'm not rushing through this part as much as I do a lot of the sanding and stuff like that. Simply so you could really see it all go together. And this is just good old arts and crafts stuff. So I'm making myself a couple other lines here, just to make sure everything lines up really well. Because remember, we did this to scale, or as much to scale as we could. And I'm just verifying with actual items. So we're actually putting a neck there, putting a couple body templates there, just so it sizes up. You can see it's obviously a little bit bigger than a TL, and not quite the same as offset of the JM. And it's just craft glue stick, gluing it down, getting it all ready. And then I'm covering the pick guard with lines with a little darker marker so I could trace them. And here I am tracing them. Because we're going to make a separate template for that, just like you saw in the opening picture. So good old-fashioned bandsaw, cutting close to the lines, but it's just like you learned in wood shop. You know, 8-fingered woodshop instructor always telling you to make sure that you work up to the lines. So that's what we're going to do here. We're cutting close with the bandsaw, and I could probably cut a little closer if I had a smaller blade. This blade's pretty much universal. I could resaw with it, but it's a little bit big for these tight turns. And then I'm going to go take this thing over to the sander once we get it all nice and cut here. I like my oscillating belt sander here. There we go. Now this particular guitar, this model, is actually going to be a set neck, not a bolt-on. So I realized that as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, I don't need to make that little neck station there. So I'm going to cut it because it's going to set into the body a little more. Cut it, and it's going to be somewhat of a short scale. It's a straight 25 inch. So it's going to be a fun little scale to work with. You know, it's not the 25.5 as we get with a lot of F scales, but it's not the 24 3/4 like you get with the G scales. So there you have it. Now, just making sure, again, center line is established, and on the 2 planks that I used here for the body blank, it's a mahogany, so we're going to actually, I mean, it's pretty easy, the center line's where the 2 planks come together. And there you go. I'm just going to get a neck pocket just to get a visual of what I'm working with. And now let's go on to our other body template, and I'll show you another way that I do this. This one's going to be the Katina. Now this is a 5 string. It's going to be a 5-string bass, and it's going to be a multi-scale. So it's going to be a 37-inch with a 34-inch multi-scale. So to do this, basically the customer liked my Letty model, which is this right here, which is normally a 6-string guitar, semi-hollow. But we realized, of course, we're going to need to beef it up a little bit to make it into a 5-string bass. So I'm taking the Letty and just borrowing the curves from it. See, I've already done the notch back. And also taking that JM because I know that that's basically as big as we're going to need, and that's the closest thing I have to scale, shaped like even close to a Letty with the offset look to it. Now this is a standard bass neck. Obviously we're going to need to go a little wider for a 5-string, but it'd be enough for us to get a gist of what we're doing here. And again, just borrowing curves. That's how another way to make a template. When you've got something that it's a derivative is what we're doing. So this is a derivative of if a Letty and a JM got together, and this would be their baby. If that's okay to say it that way. We could say those things nowadays, right? Okay, so here we have it. See, again, just borrowing curves. Lots of sketching, lots of, using both sides of the pencil here. A little bit of lead, a little bit of eraser, a little bit of lead, just back and forth. To get something that looks like it's going to be the final product, the final guitar. And once I'm pretty much satisfied with all the lines, then over to the bandsaw we go. And again, cutting close, working our way up to the lines. A lot of the final curves will be handled on the sander. Now you notice we came in at an angle on what was available for that piece of MDF, so that's why the center line is so important, because by the time it's all cut out, everything looks like it's all of the proper angles. And I'm changing the grits. I kind of edited that out on the other template, but basically what we're doing is I'm starting with a 40, work my way up from an 80 to a 120. Now on this one, that is a combo sander, I could take it to the regular oscillating sanding papers, which would give me a little tube I could go, pretty tight, about a 1/2 inch. But I decided not to, and it's sometimes just easier, just use a good old hand file and rasp, and that's what I'm doing here. That little tight curve there. And here I'm just sanding all those lines. They're kind of irrelevant at this point. And how about we get back to the pick guard for the Naboy, all right? So here we are, taking the tracing paper. So basically, just like I did before, we're going to use the paper as our trace for our template. Well, in this particular case, I think rather than gluing that paper down, since it's not legit anyway, we're just going to use it to trace the outlines, and then we're going to work on the lines with the pencil. So it's kind of a hybrid of the two different methods that we just did. And I didn't really like, if you saw that Photoshop mock-up, it looked like it was a little stiff on part of the lines here. So I kind of made that more of a really nice little swing line. Very similar to what I did with one of my other models. I've got that real like boomerang look to the pickguard. And I think it's good to incorporate the boomerang look because from what I understand about boomerangs, they're coming back. MDF is a fun material to work with. It is a little soft sometimes for router templates, but there's ways you can condition it. I know a lot of people like to do plywood for this, but I like MDF. Now here what I'm doing is, again, I'm doing the old finger trick to get a nice even distance from the outside edge of the body to where the pick guard comes, and I'm just redoing those lines off the actual material rather than just off of photos and mock-ups. And then I'm just double checking, make sure everything looks pretty. And then just working my way through it, just little bits at a time. Yep, work my way through the papers. Or belt. So as you can see, this is a bit of work. Now, you know, again, I've tried to do everything hyperspeed and edit it down so we can get a 16-minute or so video. But this stuff takes, you know, hours. Yeah, we'll go back through our sander. Now here I'm marking the lines on the edge because I'm about to sand off that center line. And I don't want to lose it. So run it through the old drum sander. Obviously, if you don't have one of these, then you just use sanding blocks and or a random orbital sander. Either way, it's a good, easy way to clean it up. And there you have it. Nice little template set. You know, that took me pretty much all day. So there you have it. I had a couple nice templates, couple body templates, and a pickguard template. Please click the like and subscribe buttons if not already subscribed. Ring that bell for updates and share with friends. Really appreciate it. You guys are helping this channel grow, and I can't thank you enough. Hooray for 2021 being here, and let's celebrate.